Mazzella, good evening. How fun was the countdown?
Awesome.
I'm so excited. I figured that out. I mean, I didn't do it correctly, but it's fine. Good evening, everyone. I am your host, Donna V, and I am here with the most beautiful Kim Mazzella, mindset coach and light docent. So excited to be here tonight. It is Monday, October 11th, and we are here for part 2, talking about Dolores Cannon and the 3 waves of volunteers. But before we even get into that, I want to let everyone know last week Kim wasn't here. This week Tracy's got a prior engagement. I would love to just say we wish her love and light, and I'm so happy to have you back, Kim Mazzella. How are you?
I am so happy to be back. I really have missed the show so much. I really so excited to be here. And the funny thing is, I was so out of it last week. I never really got to watch the show, and people came up to me and said, "Oh my God, it was such a great show." I'm like, I know I missed it, but you know what? It's all good. We're gonna, I'm gonna watch it this week. I can't wait to hear all the spells that he gave and the money, because I mean, who doesn't want that?
Exactly. Yeah. If you guys missed it, what Kim's referring to is last week's episode 51. We had on one of our favorite witches, Dark Winter Moon. His name is Ryan, and he was here. And what he did is he went over an amazing spell on how to create and manifest money through a spell. If you missed it, you can watch it afterwards. You can go check us out on YouTube under Open Minded Mystics if you're not watching us there. And if you're watching us from Facebook, go over and subscribe to YouTube. Please like and share. Also, just so you know, you can find Ryan and his spells on Etsy, and he is on Instagram and all the socials, and it was called the Dirty Sexy Money Spell. Look at that. This is amazing. I love it. We have this amazing input from our open-minded mystics backstage help. That is awesome.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh. You want to tell everybody exactly maybe like what was going on and where you were? Because, we missed you last week.
Yeah, I had a week. So on Monday, last Monday's a week, today, I had shoulder surgery, and it was awful. So he told me the things that he thought he might be able to do, and when he went in, it was pretty bad, but he was able to get everything done, which was great.
It's shoulder surgery, right?
Yeah, it's shoulder surgery. This is what this is. It's ice, actually, that's on me. So I have to wear ice for like the next 3 weeks. And believe it or not, that ice makes a massive difference in my life, because when I can tell when I sort of need it again, the recovery was really rough. And one of the things that I realized was, when you're in pain, it's really hard to think about anything else. It's really physical pain and emotional pain, like the levels of them are very similar, because I kept thinking I'm the mindset girl, and I was having really having a hard time with my mindset. It took me like good 3 days to be like, okay, I can manage this. And once I got out of the pain, it was a lot easier. When the pain became more manageable, the
physical pain.
Yeah.
Were you able to meditate during that at all, or did you find that a challenge?
I found it a massive challenge, and thank God for YouTube, because they have so much. So I put in like meditations for pain, and they have like different there were different sounds, and I was just play the sounds all day long. And when I was trying to sleep at night, the sleep has still been really rough. And if anybody has shoulder surgery and can give me any ideas how to sleep at night, because I've yet to really do that.
Oh my gosh.
But the sounds, the toning kind of sounds, they were really good. So, and now I've been able to meditate. But it's really interesting because I have to sleep sitting up. If I try to lay back, it like hurts too much. So I just, try to sleep sitting up. That's really, really relaxing. But I just am trying to, once I got through the worst of the pain, I was able to like really do the work I need to do to get my mindset back to focus on the future, about what I want. I was talking to you about the fact that I can play golf again.
Oh, that's amazing.
Right now. Yeah.
I would love to play golf with you. Hi, Christine Cool. Christine Cool, if you have any advice on any of the oils that might help with pain. I actually was thinking, Christine, because I was diagnosed this week with an upper respiratory infection, and I was trying to remember what Christine Cool was talking about. Was it peppermint? So, Christine, I'm so grateful that you're here, and anyone that's here that knows about healing, let me know. I have a question, Kim. I know that so often we talk about pain in the body, and I know that this was a created pain by surgery, but is it have any kind of bearing or any connection to, when you'll say, oh, if you have pain in your legs, it's your root chakra. If you have pain in your shoulder, is there any connection to that, even though it was surgery?
Well, absolutely. But I want to say a few things. I just want to go back to Christine because I have an appointment with her tomorrow at 11. So I'm really excited for that.
Nice.
Yes, I really am. She's awesome. And please watch her shows. She has so much information. And I'm really excited to learn what she can do to help me when it comes to, really recovering. But I do believe, so when I talk about the shoulders all the time, I talk about burdens, right? Shoulders are the energy of burdens in the body. And so if you think about your fifth chakra, that's your ability to be authentic. That's your ability to stand up for yourself, to put yourself out in the universe and stand true to your authentic self, as well as hear the truth, hear what you're being told, and speak your truth. The heart center is the fourth chakra, right? So this is about our connection, right? So what was happening in my life, and many mothers do this, is we put ourselves on the back burner all the time. And I have tended to be always that type of person who just keeps pushing. I could do more. And I always say that when the universe first gives us messages, it gives us them really quietly, like, hey, maybe you should stop taking on so much. Maybe you should do a little less. And but don't get me wrong, I always feel like I'm powerful and I could do so much. But after a while, then that voice got a little louder, and it got a little louder. And so what happened was, 16 years ago, I fell down the steps, right? So I grabbed on with my shoulder with my arm, my left arm, and I fell down the steps. And at that point, I was able to heal it with physical therapy. And I listened to the physical therapist, and he said, you have little babies. It's not really a good time to have surgery. So I felt like my babies were always little, so it's never a good time to have surgery, right? Even though my
son is
6'3". And so I went to the doctor, and I said, the pain got so unbearable. Like after 16 years, I was starting to have pain all the time. And I went to the doctor, and I was like, I wanted to see about getting more physical therapy. And the doctor's like, physical therapy? You are way beyond physical therapy. So how does that not match the burden section of the body? I take on everybody's burdens. I put everybody before me. And don't get me wrong, I am a life coach. So
I was just going to say, Kim, can I remind you something? You're a life coach.
I do take care of myself and have boundaries, but it's this thing in me, like, I could do it all. I could do, there's not, I'll make more hours in the day. I have a very, I can do it energy. And I ignore those little, maybe you should rest. Rest is for the weak. I can do it, right? Like I can cook you dinner and write a spreadsheet.
I know.
I've always been like that. And I think that even though I do meditate twice a day, I do think that that's my idle time, right? Like that's the time I relax. So I think that the universe has really gave me a very clear message in, and there's no looking back and like feeling bad about it. There's just like, hey, I'm not going to let this happen again. Like, I'm not going to ignore the messages of my body. And I knew all along what was going on. I'm like, my body's telling me to relax, but I don't want to, right? Like I knew all along. It's not like I was going through it blindly. Like I'm sure we remember these conversations.
I remember this. In fact, one of the things that I find interesting is that, and it's an analogy that I use quite often. And when you said it today, we were messaging that this was it maybe yesterday. This is a birthing process, and so many times I think people don't recognize that we go through a birthing process repeatedly in life. So whether you're the one being birthed, even though we have no memory of it, unless you do maybe a past life regression or something like that, you don't recognize the trauma and the drama of what it's like to exit, to come into this world.
Right.
But the one doing the birthing certainly remembers that. And that goes for people that haven't even had physical children. It's like there's so many different things that we go through in this life, and the lesson is just like on repeat. And I mean, even myself, like I should have rested today. And you know what I did? I didn't just clean my kitchen. I like lugged a piece of huge furniture like up the stairs. And like I was just bound and determined to make myself feel better by making myself feel better. That's how I operate. And I have Christine Cool said, I'm looking forward to talking with you tomorrow. If anyone wants wellness tips and suggestions, just let me know. Let's talk. I think that's awesome. And, we all love Christine. She's a fountain of knowledge. Again, if you're just tuning in, you don't know who Christine Cool is. She was on an episode, which I don't remember the exact number, and I apologize for that. But she was on our show because she's a huge aficionado of all of the oils and natural remedies. So yeah, that's exciting. Jerry Reesby says, wowzers to you.
Yeah. Well, so I have to say this, when it comes to being birthed, I felt like this was I always feel like these hard things that we go through are such an opportunity for growth, right? Like A Course in Miracles says you can learn your lessons in joy or you can learn them in pain, but you're going to learn them, right? You don't get an option. And if you don't learn them, they're going to get louder and louder and louder. And there's so many lessons that I feel like so many things I've gotten through and learned, right? But I think that as a woman, as a person who wants to do a lot and doesn't want to give up anything, has a little bit of that FOMO, like fear of missing out. And I think that this is a really, really big lesson for me. And you can't do it all. And you've got to make idle time that you're not meditating that's as important as, that'll get done. The kitchen can get done tomorrow. And it's just hard because we want to do it all. And we think we can do it all. But that it's about setting better boundaries, like not just with other people, because I've got that down. I pretty much, I don't want to say I got that down. Don't give me
a please. So you're going to get so many lessons sent to her tomorrow, you guys.
Like, please, I don't want another lesson. I think I've got it down. At least I've got the level I'm at down. I feel like I've gotten better with boundaries and better with so many things that I teach, that I just turn around and teach. And now this is where I'm really at like saying, the body is a sacred temple. It's interesting because I was reading the Seth books the other day and they were talking about the connection of the body and the mind and that we think of them as two separate things, but our soul is weaved into the fabric of our body.
Correct.
It's weaved in. And so you can't have a negative thought without it pushing you over, and you can't overburden yourself and say no to yes to everything without expecting that your body is going to say, I'm overwhelmed. Right.
It's interesting because the visual I got, as you said, that was a glass of water that's filled to the brim. And even though ice is the same exact material, but in a different form, you put an ice cube in and what happens? You're going to lose some of that water. So even though you think that you're taking things on, these lessons, right? That's a pretty cool visual. I know. It came to my head. I saw this like tall, thin glass of water. And when it's like filled to the edge and you see it like at the lip and it's beautiful and it's like, wow, that's amazing. And then you drop an ice cube in it. And it's, even though you're accepting the same stuff you've accepted over and over, it's the same exact matter in a different form. It's going to make it overflow. You're going to feel overwhelmed. I don't care what happens. You're going to feel overwhelmed as a mother, as a partner, and which is a really great segue into if you need help with a program like that. I mean, you could supercharge your relationship by mastering your mindset with you, Kim. I know that you have been out right now this week healing, but let's talk a little bit about healing and relationships. Can you talk a little bit about your program and what it is good for and who it could benefit?
Oh, absolutely. So I have two main programs that everybody should know about. Well, so I have my main program where you work with me one-on-one, and then you work with me on a weekly basis. And in that program, we really dig into your relationship.
Okay.
And not just your relationship with your partner, but it could be a relationship with food. It could be a relationship with money. It could be a relationship with anything. And I am not telling you what to do. You do. So we go and we really uncover what your beliefs are, figure out what beliefs are working for you and which ones aren't. And then we really work on overcoming patterns. And I give you a billion tools. And then the second part of it is really learning how to manage the emotions as they come up. And then finally, it's about taking your belief system and really changing it in a mission, right? And setting your mission. It's such a great program. And if you've ever done it, you're going to have a million ahas. I love working with women who come up with these discoveries all on their own. And, just by my course, really pushing them to look, right? To discover. But if you're not ready to dive into such a, immersion kind of experience, I've created something called the Rapid Relationship Repair Toolkit. And so that is a 4-week program. And in that program, you do it on your own, but you have lots of videos that I have created and recorded, and it's a daily program. It's about 5 minutes a day of work. And it's really all about changing your energy and changing the way you see your relationship so that you step back into your power, so that you really own your power and you feel. Most people who go through that program are like, I wish I did this all along. And most people who have done it do it more than once, because they find that it's really a good kind of program to, it's just like daily work. It's really the daily work that everybody should be doing to really learn how to, in a relationship, manage your emotional self.
And these are relationships that you could have with food, relationships you could have with money, relationships you could have with another person. It doesn't have to be, if you're not in a relationship with a partner, you can still do this because you're always in relationship with yourself, which is so important to know. And I love the fact that you said once you buy it, you can redo it over and over, because I know from working with you and the tools that I've learned from you that they apply to so many different places in your life. So it's not like, you pick up a dumbbell and it's only good for, well, no, actually you could use dumbbells for curls and you could use them for others. I mean, who the heck knows? None of us are doing anything with our shoulders these days. But my point is that you can reread, re-look at, I mean, there's so many different parts of it, right?
Right.
Which is great. I have a couple comments. I wanted to say that Kathy Cousins, who's one of our favorite watchers, one of my favorite people, was thinking of Christine Cool today, also about oils for respiratory challenges, and she's sending you healing thoughts, which I think is amazing. And I love that. I love that. I think one of the things that's amazing about this particular show that we do is the sense of community. And we have a huge announcement coming next week, because if you think that this is a great sense of community, you're not going to want to miss next Monday night, because we have a very large announcement to make. We are just, stepping into, our power with you, but we're going to help you step into it as well, especially during the holidays and the time of the year that's coming up, Kim. We know is the time where a lot of people have to see family that maybe they haven't seen, or, the holidays coming up. And can you believe that we are only 2 months away from the new year?
No, that's I can't. I'm not.
You're not ready?
Not ready, especially with this. I'm like, oh, I'm not prepared.
We're gonna be ready. We're gonna be ready. And
you know what it is? It always feels like you go into summer and then all of a sudden it's winter.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how it kind of works, because summertime, we just get really excited and we do a lot of things, and it's amazing. You know what? I'm just going to also post that we have another sponsor this week. And this is, I don't know if anyone saw Marielle Alvarado. She's the business alchemist is what she is known as. And if you watched last week, you know that Dark Winter Moon, our friend, gave us a shout out. And he said he loved seeing her on our show, and actually signed up for her program. She has a free workshop going on how to get clients daily as a modern mystic, which I love, with Marielle Alvarado, the Business Alchemist, October 14th at 12 p.m. Eastern. So in the afternoon, if you have the opportunity, join the Modern Mystic Business Breakthrough Facebook group. And we want to make sure that you get over there. Let me take this banner down so that we're not hiding anything. And, she is a firecracker, to say the least. And awesome. I hope that you guys all check that out. And, I'm excited. Do you have anything you want to say about that?
Oh, I mean, at first place, Marielle has been so amazing for me. And what I love about her is she is, a lot of times, like, people in my field we're all like, we're not business people. We are energy workers, right?
Spiritualists.
So she really brings that, like, okay, this is great, but how are you going to make money to it? And she gives you step-by-step directions on how to do it. So here's the great thing about her too. This class is free. She gives tons of freebies out. And she has a $27 offer, just like I do, and that's called your signature show, or you can work with her one-on-one, just like mine. So she taught me the setup that I do, and I can't say enough.
That's amazing
about her. She's got a ton of energy. She's exactly a great mentor. So
I'm going to put it back up for you guys, so you can join the Modern Mystic Business Breakthrough Facebook group. And the class is a free class. It's a free workshop. It's on October 14th. I'll put it back up again at the end. So super duper exciting. And you know what else is super duper exciting?
Ooh.
Dolores Cannon. Let me
talk about this.
I'm so excited because I was doing a little bit of homework, just because I want to make sure that our socials are up. And, if you haven't followed us yet, please go over to Instagram or Facebook and you can check us out at Open Minded Mystics. We actually have 2 Instagrams because we are just like that into doing, all of our posting. And of course, you could follow Kim Mazzella because Tracy and I both really love to just like, we didn't want to keep it up with our comedy names because we didn't want people to think that we weren't taking it seriously, even though, as we know, and we know she's not here today, but Aunt Sheila Says is a great place to find some comedic, comedic value to knowing essential oil. She's an essential oil connoisseur, astrological aficionado, and purveyor of common sense. Check out Aunt Sheila Says if you need to laugh, which who doesn't need to laugh? I mean, we all need to laugh. But one of the things I loved, and I just want to share with everybody and people that are watching, is I was doing some work looking at Dolores Cannon. Now, you are like the aficionado. Like, I bow to you for all the things that you read and all the things that you know. But this really struck a nerve with, like, in a positive way. People are always asking me what they have to do to move to the new earth. They said there are 2 things that you have to let go of. One is fear. It must be released, or it will hold you to the old earth. The second is karma. What did you learn from your bad experiences? Forgive and let them go. This is something that Dolores Cannon is quoted as saying, and I thought this might be a great way to just like kind of segue into the part that we want to talk about, which is Dolores Cannon. What the heck? This woman is brilliant. I mean, I know she's passed, but what an amazing woman.
Well, what's amazing about her, she didn't start out to become this major, guru of new age information, right?
Yeah.
She just started out helping people quit smoking and stuff like that, right?
That was amazing.
Right? That's what she wanted to do. She was a hypnotist, and she just started people, but she developed her own practice, her own technique. And in the development of it, she started to work on a deeper level, and she was able to access the subconscious on a much deeper level than previously before. And then when she started to access the subconscious, although she wasn't the first person who ever did it, she started to recognize that there was so much more than meets the eye. And she started to find out all this crazy stuff, like UFOs and people visiting the planet. And she taught about the seeding of the planet, which I could do a whole show on. The seeding of a planet, like this planet was a vacation planet. It was just like this vacation planet with beautiful oceans and beautiful, beautiful scenery. And what happened was it wasn't really inhabited like other planets. It was like a place that people went on vacation. But then they decided to seed it for people to live here, right?
Wow.
And so when they did that, certain things went wrong. Like they introduced bacteria, and we became much denser than expected. We became violent. We handled things violently, and we are also an emotional planet. That was part of the reason when they're here, to work through emotions. So there's 2 things that we do here. We work through our emotions, and we're here to work through karma. And so Earth, when people decide to come to Earth School, they are doing those 2 things. They're working through their emotions, and they're working through karma. And I had said last time that when people sign up to work Earth School, people are like, good for you, man. I don't want to do that, because it's a very long school. And I want to talk about karma and what that means. So
please.
So we think, okay, if someone hurts me, my karma is I hurt them, but it's not really, it has nothing to do with other people. It's about you. It's about each individual person. So you are here to work through everything. When you sign up for Earth, you're here to work through it all. You're here to experience it all. You experience every color, every size, every sex, every type of plant, so you start out like as air, then you move from air to plants and rocks. And if you're a rock, by the way, I heard that you're rocks for a really, really long time. So
I would hope I would be like this kind of a rock, like maybe a crystal. Okay.
And it's about getting that from that, understanding different vibrations. And I always wonder if my daughter is like a crystal or one of those third waves that we're going to talk about, because when she was born, I'll never forget, I said to her, once she's like, I don't want to be here. She used to say I don't want to be here all the time, which is totally off subject, but I just remembered, it popped in my head. And I'd say, well, what were you here before you were here? She said, a speck, just a speck. And I'm like, a speck of what? And she's like, I don't know, dust. Like, I think she was a speck of light. I wonder if she was.
Wow.
I wonder. Well, I'm going to get into the whole story. So when this Earth was seeded, it turns out that this is a very hard classroom. We have a lot of lives. When we come here, it's the only planet that we're given a veil. We're given an assignment. We set up a practice. We speak to like a community of wise people and ourselves, and we decide what our curriculum is going to be. And we set our curriculum with a group, right? So everybody you meet, you're supposed to meet. Doesn't mean that you have to have the relationship you have with them, but you can have the relationship you have with them. So maybe you decide to stay in a relationship, but your next relationship shows up, right? That you planned. So you plan a lot of like, you know, different opportunities for yourself. So you plan to work through every type of emotion. You plan to work through. So you plan to be a victim and get to be victor, from the victim become the victor. And you also plan to be a victimizer and to work through that as well, to get to become a compassionate person who steps into empathy, right?
Wow.
So you plan it all. So that's what karma is balancing harmony, balancing the harmonies, right? So it's about finding balance in both the yin and the yang, right?
So when people say karma is what comes around goes around, is that what that means?
It's more about experiencing it all, experiencing the other side of whatever you're going through.
Well, that's what I mean. So what comes around goes around. It means like, so if I am, let's say, mean to someone, I will experience someone being mean to me.
Right.
So I can see, like looking in a mirror and experiencing the feeling and saying, oh, that's what I created. That's what I caused.
Right. But there's no judgment on the other side. Like judgment's only here. This is about like, okay, didn't do too hot there. Let's do it again. Right. So that's what you do. You go through your life path. You're like, that didn't work out. How about we'll try it this time? I'll be this, you'll be the that, I'll be this color, you'll be that color. Well, right. So, you know, and one of the things I mentioned last time, which was really struck me, is when you feel like you're a different sex, it's because you probably had more lives in that other sex. Right.
Yeah.
And your last life might have been in that other sex. Now, listen, if you're listening to this and you're going, oh, my God, she did, too. Right. She wasn't like, yeah, this is great stuff. She was like, what is happening? She said,
who's she? Oh, Dolores Cannon. I'm like, wait a second. Wait. I'm like, you're having an out of body experience right now.
No, Dolores Cannon was very much like, this is really weird. Right. Like
Now, I know this is going to sound really controversial, but I have to ask. Do you think that is why more now than ever people are experiencing feelings of the need for gender reassignment?
Yes. And I'm going to tell you why. I think that with the waves of volunteers, there's a lot more of us, right? And our DNA is changing. There's more people who are coming into being authentic with themselves. More and more people are becoming into being fearful. Fear is getting really loud, but love is getting so much louder. I want to say that again. Everybody's saying, oh, fear. And their fear is getting loud, right. But they made it so that love is getting louder. So let me explain what I mean.
Yeah, okay. Please.
So if this planet was seeded, take that with a grain of salt, whatever. There's a big universe out there, and most of them are talking to each other. We're the only ones not, because they need us to ascend to a certain place where we can not. What happens is we keep destroying ourselves, and civilizations keep getting destroyed. And so there was Atlantis, which was a very big, and there's been civilizations that have really gotten to the peaks of knowledge, and they, they say in Atlantis, they used to work with crystals and they did healing with crystals. Like, so there's been a lot of stuff out there, but that we have destroyed our civilizations again and again and again. Right.
Yeah.
But there's one thing they won't let us do. And
what?
That is destroy the earth. Right. And when we blew the bomb in the atomic bomb right at the end of the war, it got the attention of the entire like galaxy and cosmic universe. Right. And they were like, oh, because if this planet gets destroyed, there's first place different dimensions within this own planet that are living on this planet that we are not even aware of. Right. Like, so spirits live on this planet. Right.
Correct.
But there are, she says that there's communities within the earth that we are unaware of, that we're going to become more aware of. There's above the earth.
Right.
So, and it will have reverberations throughout the universe, and it will be very harmful. So they won't let us destroy the planet. Now, they've tried to help us before throughout the billions of years and they found that if they come down and try to help, then we make those people who try to help become gods. Like, right. Because once you become in a body, it's really hard to keep you. It's really hard to not feel the emotions, to not feel the energy. right?
May I put something up that it goes with what you're saying?
Yeah.
So one of the things is the call was given throughout the universe for souls to come to earth to help when they come into a body like all of us. Their memories are erased. I've asked, wouldn't it be easier if we could remember why we have come? And they said it wouldn't. Wouldn't it be it wouldn't be a test if you knew the answers. So when I read that today, and with what you're saying, I, of course, like now I'm having computer issues here. Come on, come on, come on.
Oh,
All
come
right.
on, guys! You have highest vibrational.
No, it's just it's the mouse. It's whatever. It's Dolores Cannon's laughing and she's saying, just keep it up. It's funny. But it's interesting because, you know, I know Tracy was open about doing a past life regression. I'd love to do that. But there, you know, I do believe in coming back. I do believe in, you know, reincarnation very much so. I always have since I'm a little kid. I don't know why. I don't know if it was because like the veil that you call it was thin and I had experienced knowing something. I don't even know, Kim. I don't know, but I just know that I've always been drawn to this and believe in it. And echoing what you said about meeting people for different reasons. Like you and I met and many, many years ago, and we've met and our reason has evolved like in a Kundalini shape. You know, same thing even with Tracy. You know, we met in a writing class for comedy, had no idea. And I felt like that was like our like atomic bomb. The things that we have done together, that was our like gong. And then, you know, this relationship and the ones that are reverberating out from it. I mean, this to me, this makes complete logical sense.
Right. So let me go on. So what happened was there was a call. So the universe, according to Dolores Cannon, remember, she gets this in little pieces from different people telling her pieces of, and she had to put it together to make it something. But so she gets information from aliens and all different things, but then she gets information from like the masters of the universe, right? So when she gets this information and kind of like brought it all together, she really understood the message, right? So what happened was they decided we got to help Earth. We cannot let it destroy itself. I mean, it's one thing to destroy a civilization, but it's another thing to let Earth destroy itself, you know, right? It's actually happened before with Atlantis. I know it sounds like so like, but really, this is what she says. Okay, so what they knew they couldn't come down here and just say, hey guys, what are you doing, right? Like they knew that because they can't interfere. They can give us gifts. They do. And they, from time to time, they've come down and give us gifts of knowledge. They taught us how to harvest our fields. They taught us how to use our minds. This planet, by the way, is a planet where we have psychic powers. And that's why people like being here, because we all are supposed to have psychic powers. Every single one of us has psychic powers. And those powers are so powerful that we could create the pyramids, and that's actually how it happened, right? So through people, they said people stood in a circle and they concentrated on lifting each rock, and those people that were in a circle couldn't get interrupted. They had to stay in their circle. Everybody else worked, but they just stayed in the circle and levitated each rock. That's how she said that happened. So so the call went out, and you know, people from all over. So there's a lot of different kinds of people that came, or spirits that came. So some were still in source, right? Some were still part of source, right? Energies that never had any karma. And the reason why is here, am I talking to you about here? We have karma, right? And in the karma, we got too lost in the wheel of karma and just couldn't like get out of ourselves. So we're stuck. And some of us has been stuck in the wheel of karma for a really long time, not learning and moving beyond and transcending that place that we're supposed to transcend, right? We're not supposed to stay in 8th grade for like 15 years. We're supposed to like graduate, and we're like, I like 8th grade. I'm going to stay down here. And we keep going back to the same thing. So they said, no, we need to help them out. Right. So they decided in this panel, listen, what we're going to do is instead of going down we're going to become them. Right. And so what they did was, so there were like entities that were like living thousands of years that were like, most of the energies that came here were very joyful and loving energies. And so right after the bomb, they were like, the call went out and they said, we've got to help Earth. Right. And so this call went out. And so what happened was the first wave of people came in like 1945 through 1955. Right.
Now, this is you're talking about the waves of volunteers.
And so the purpose was for them to come down and to bring a spirit of higher knowledge to Earth, right? So, but what happened is they were born into bodies. So some of them like remained on spaceships and like as a sarcophagus and like sent their souls down. Some of them just were light that were born in a body. Some of them were like, kept like just refracted a piece of their soul and brought it here, because we're all refraction, which we could talk about in another thing, because we all have more lives than the one we're living right now. Right now we're all living, according to Dolores Cannon, like multiple lives. But let me not get away with myself, because that's that could be a show.
Well, it's like we're Russian dolls. It's like we are Russian dolls and we're living simultaneously.
Yes.
But each layer is living a separate life.
Right. And Greg Braden talks about this too, that time is vertical. It's not necessarily horizontal. Okay. So what happens is the call went out and they're like, I'll come. And they're all like, hey, because they're all loving and sweet and they're much higher energy beings. And then they were born and they're like, what the hell
did I agree to? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did I say I was going to wear this forever?
Yeah. Right. And so the first wave of volunteers, they hated it here. And they're still here, by the way, because they were born in the 40s, mid 40s to mid 50s, maybe even 60s, early 60s. And some of them could have come like earlier than that. They find it, first place, they don't want to develop any karma here, because if they develop a lot of karma, then they're going to be stuck in Earth school. Right. And some of them, they don't know this because they've been put under the veil. They just know they don't belong. Right. So if you are in your 50s or 60s. No, I guess you'd be in your 60s or 70s now. 70s. Yeah. And you're thinking, I hate this place. I don't belong here. You probably don't. Okay. This is not your school. Right. So they felt very trapped. They did not understand. They don't like the emotion. It's very highly emotional planet. They couldn't stand the violence because it's highly a violent planet. Right. And if you think about the kids in the 60s, like peace, love, that's that group, right? They're boomers, right? So those are the boomers.
They're like, burn the bra and get me out of this body.
Yeah. So a second group came, and that second group was born. They're closer to my age, but so that would mean, they were born, I guess, in the 60s and 70s.
70s, right?
Yeah, 70s. And so that group, their sole purpose is to, first place, they learned from the ones before. They recognized that it was going to be hard, right? So they didn't just sign up so like willy-nilly. They recognized they came a little better prepared. And they also don't like people. And when I say they don't like people, they tend to be loners. They tend to want to, even though they've come to help heal people, they tend to want to stay on their own. They don't want to have babies. They might, but they tend to not want to have babies. They also feel uncomfortable, but their job is to be vibration. Their job is just to go out in spaces and vibrate at the energy of love. Their job is just to and I guess, so Dolores Cannon said a lot of these people felt like, well, that's it. Like, that's my purpose. And Carolyn Mace, I'll never forget, I have a lot of teachers. So I was listening to a video, a Carolyn Mace tape. And this was like, I don't know, it had to be like in the 90s.
It had to be because you just said tape. You listened to a tape.
It was on a Walkman. I'll never forget walking around my neighborhood with a Walkman with a tape. And she said that there are some of us that our job is just to be a vibration in a certain place. And I remember thinking, that sucks. But I felt like, is that me? And I always wonder, like, am I this person? Right. But I don't think so, because I feel like I have karma, but we'll see. I don't think I am, but who the heck knows? So their job is just to raise the vibration of the planet. That's it.
To elevate the vibration of the global population. I've been saying that for how long?
Right.
Dolores Cannon, I will be. You just go right through me, Dolores, please.
Yeah. So, and because we're supposed to be elevating, because there's this galactic community out there that is starting to visit us. They're starting to come. Have you noticed? We're starting to talk about it. Yeah. And they're starting to come because there's something called the new earth, and we're going through it right now, right? This is what's going through it. And this is the whole point. So the third wave of vibration of volunteers are kids, and they were born with the DNA necessary to bring in the new earth. Okay. So their DNA is different. Now, I have no idea if scientists have studied this, because no one's told me this, but they're vibrating at a different frequency. Right. They're
22.
yeah, they're vibrating at a different frequency because they're going to be the leaders that bring us into this new earth. And so the thing is that what's going on right now is we are the only planet in the history of the universe, the only planet that is going to change its frequency and vibration as a living planet, right? And everyone either has to come along for the ride or they're going to live on the old earth, right? And you, what?
No, you're blowing my mind, because you know what's really interesting is it, you know, oh my gosh. So you know how many generate, like when you're little, right? And you're in the car with your parents and you're listening to music, and what did your parents say? What is with this screaming music, right? I feel like the vision I got when you said that was, you know, I mean, just look at the different things that we're doing with our planet and our earth. Look at the cars. You're plugging cars in. Like, things are changing and not just going to a different vibration, like energetically within us. It's rippling out to like everything. And I said, and I hope that people are listening that are like, just give me a couple bucks for this. But I'm like, why are we putting these panels on our roofs and not putting them on the roof of a car? Like, why are you not putting solar panels on the top of every car and like making the solar operated cars just self-propelled? Like, this is
a lot of things. They said if we paint every street white, it could make a massive difference in global
energy
warming.
Yeah, global warming.
Yeah.
I know.
Everybody should be out there with a paintbrush painting the street, but we don't have the time. But even more than that, like, listen, here's the thing. This is not about guilt or making it all happen, because we're busy, right? The most important thing that you could do is find the people in your life that you're holding grudges against. Find the people in your life that you're judging. Find the people, and let me tell you, I still have them. Like, I don't want to, because I've been doing my work for a really long time, but stuff comes up because I live in a human existence, right? And because I was really mad at my doctor who did my shoulder, because I felt like I was somewhat ill prepared. But who should I really be mad at? Me? Maybe I should have done a little more research before I had massive surgery on my shoulder.
I was looking to see, because there's something she talks about with that, with letting it go
and release our karma. We are, the way we get to the new earth is hold on to nothing. And just so you know, I've been reading this book for like, I don't know, since I'm 19, A Course in Miracles, and it basically says the same thing. The whole 700 pages of that book are like, forgive everybody. You are them, right? Like, anything that someone else does, forgive them.
So, so how, as a life coach, I want to talk, I want to ask you this question. As a life coach, okay, and I've worked with you, and I know that you've given me tools on how to forgive, and I want to just reiterate at this very moment, because I know that there are people that are watching, shaking their heads going, she's crazy. Like, I can't forgive my, you know, uncle for giving away my dog in the middle of the night, or, you know, I'm very blessed to say that I didn't experience this, but there are people that have experienced some really horrible things. Murder, incest. Like, there are things that are, you know, conceivably unforgivable. Unforgivable. How would you answer that question, or how would you manage to help someone that comes to you and says, Kim, my uncle sexually abused me and I can't forgive, and I feel like I am going to be stuck in the space that I'm in. You want me to forgive my uncle for doing this to me, or ABC to my child? Like, can you please touch on that a little? No, that's not a pun intended. To talk about that, and we'll go back to Dolores Cannon, but I need to say this because I feel like I'm getting the energy from people thinking, you guys are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Not only do we live in all these different earths, but now you want me to forgive people's wrongs? As a life coach, how do you handle that?
Okay, and such a great question, and I'm really glad you've asked that, because these are hard things. I mean, I know that I've had things in my life. I know of someone who was raped at 6 years old by two custodians, and I always think about that. Like, how do you forgive that? Like, at 6 years old, and I think about that all the time when it comes to this. But I do think that if we could really just own that we're vibrational beings in a vibrational environment, and the past is only a teacher, right? The past is our teacher, and it's always a lesson in love, right? And so now here's the thing. If you're still experiencing the trauma from that, right? If you're 30 years old and you haven't worked through the trauma yet, I'm not going to be like, let's go to the mountaintop. Like, first, what we're going to do is we're going to explore it, get to the emotion, and then just try to figure out a way to feel a better feeling emotion, right? Like, I have to get you up the scale first, right? I'm not going to be like, well, in the general scheme of things, this was a plan that you came in to learn a lesson in love and forgiveness. Like, that's not going to work. I'm sorry, right? But although that is the truth, right? So what you have to do is you have to deal with it on a micro level, and then you got to really look at it on a macro level. So what I mean is, we cannot pretend that our traumas didn't happen, but we cannot allow them to define or own us. We look at them, we write the story of them, we experience the emotion of them, and then we find a way to work through that emotion. And so you work through the emotion with a tool. And so that means you do the work to feel better. So you play the what thought feels better game. You act it out with somebody from the other side. You try to stand in the other person's shoes. There's so many things that you do. So that's a tough one. The first place, a forgiveness like that for something like that heinous. I also had a client whose father sold her into prostitution. Like, I've known at 13, like, right. So there's terrible, heinous things that go on in this world. And if we can just understand on some big level that everything that experienced to us as a child is something that can become a blessing when we can, or even experience as an adult. Every tragedy is meant to has a silver lining in it, and our job is to figure out what that silver lining is, because
Right.
when we will always find it if we look. We will always be able to, I always think about this. I had a client that really had a hard time, really had struggled because she became a paraplegic in a terrible way in her 30s. And it's a really hard thing to overcome that, right? But then I think about another person that became a paraplegic that I know, and his life kind of started after that. Now, I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but it's all about mindset and being able to work through it. The one thing I will say is there's no tragedy on earth, because Seth says this, there is no tragedy on earth that wasn't given to us in some way, that we didn't give ourselves in some way to find our strength and to catapult us into joy. And so when you can forgive that person, and it is a job, it's not, so learning and forgiveness are really spiral. There's a lot of different, like, because ultimately it's about understanding that they're finding the lesson in it, what I learned in it, and then just focusing on that, and then using that lesson to be empowered. Like Gabby Petito's parents are like starting this
A foundation? I don't know.
foundation.
Okay.
Yeah. And I thought, wow, they did that quick. They just wanted to go right to working to finding that stuff. Now, I'm going to tell you, these aren't like quick and easy fixes. This is like when you are given a trauma like that, there's levels of going up. So if you think you have a really terrible trauma, you were meant to really be up there. Like you were really meant, because something that takes us so low gives us the potential to go so high. But it's a spiral learning kind of thing. So if somebody came to me with that kind of situation, I say, well, we got some work to do. Does that make any sense?
Yeah,
because
it makes a lot of work.
I think
it makes a lot of sense. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we sign ourselves up for these things. Yes, right. We sign ourselves up for these things because it's in the working through them that we become the best version of ourselves. I'm going to tell you that I think about my addictions that I had as a youth. And I mean, I had like a relapse in my like early, like late 20s, early 30s. And I always think about that time. And I feel like it was like I needed to clean the pot better. And in those things, because people will say, well, how do you have so much compassion for people who are still in the midst of it? I'm like, well, I was in the midst of it for like 30 years. I mean, like it took me a long time to get out of it. Right. And I think that had I not gone through that experience, because the woman, by the way, who was sold into prostitution, I mean, I'll never tell her name, but she actually is a powerful, powerful healer. She works with women who've been through those things, and she's a fabulous healer. And does that make any sense?
Of course it makes sense, because
Yeah.
she could see from the position of, when someone comes to you, having empathy, and on a very simplistic form that I can say, because I can't speak to that, thank God. But like, even when, we adopted Rusty, and Rusty was bit in the face and attacked at 4 weeks old. And Courtney wants to have a dog that she can use for her practice when she goes to become a therapist. And I said, isn't it interesting that when you were about 4 years old, you were bit in the face by a dog? And now you adopted a dog that was bit in the face by a dog. And when you're working with people that have gone through trauma and gone through things, you're going to have a dog that overcame trauma. Like, there's so many different.
Awesome.
I'm saying the layers. I'm going in a simplistic form because I can't speak to someone who was with this woman's trauma. But of course, she's going to be able to work with people, because number one, if you, God forbid, ever experience that trauma, you're going to trust someone more that can say, "I've been there," because you're not you're not judging. Right. And and look at, you're listening to this person who's overcome it and is leading a group trying to help you elevate yourself. I mean, come on, I'm not going to go learn how to mountain climb from somebody that's only remained on the ground level. I'm going to go to a teacher that is a mountain climber.
And she is not a victim. She's like such a powerful, loving healer. Like, and so I always think about that. Like, what is it that could victimize me enough to stay a victim? And I think that what the universe is saying, answer is nothing, but you've got to but just like I always say, just because your parents, you got to forgive your parents, and they did their best, doesn't mean that you don't have to go through the work of forgiving your parents.
Exactly.
You still have to, like, you can't just be like, oh, well, they did their best, so I've forgiven them. No. You actually have to do the work.
Well, this is like, we have about 9 minutes left. I want to ask you before we go, because we can continue talking about Dolores Cannon forever.
Yeah.
What do you want people to know that are watching right now, that maybe you want to say, listen, if you found any of this exciting, go over and check out Dolores Cannon's body of work. But when it comes to the 3 waves of volunteers, in a nutshell, what is it that you really wanted to express tonight?
Well, I think that the thing is if you're on this planet and you're feeling like you don't belong here, or you're feeling like you don't want to be here, you're really not crazy. You probably are a volunteer, right? Like, I mean, like,
good really to know,
right? Like, so because there's a lot of us, and actually, she talked about the fact that when the baby boomers, we talk about so many boomers being born after war, but part of it was we needed more people on this planet because they needed to start to shift the energy to a more positive way.
That's a great way to look at it.
Right. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that we need to step up our game, people. Like, we really do. Like, and she says it's time. Like, for me, I'm so grateful, and I feel so honored that I've been able to, and I probably had 700 lifetimes of addiction. So I'm so grateful I was able to heal in this one. And if there's something that you're struggling with, this is the best time in the world to be struggling with anything, because you can find a healer that can help you.
The resources are insane. Like, YouTube alone. I mean, that's why we're on YouTube. But one of it really is. I mean, middle of the night, you can't sleep. You go to I can't sleep therapy. Meditation. It's insane. Right now, we put music on for the dog, so he has no anxiety. And I will tell you, there's music for dogs and like separation anxiety that are amazing for people. They've you can watch dogs run through the beach and the trees. And my cousin, I haven't seen my cousin in 2 years, and she came by today, my cousin Lauren, and we sat there and we got sucked into it. We haven't seen each other in 2 years, and we sat there like with drool coming down our faces, with Rusty, like with all of our heads were cocked to the side, and we're like, look at the woods. How nice are the woods? It's like, if you cannot get up and go into the woods, you can find the woods on TV. Like, it's pretty amazing.
Right. So if you are struggling, I promise you, like, there's nothing that you're going through that someone on this planet hasn't gone through. And I think that the worst thing that we could do is feel shame. Like, for me, as an addict, right? As a recovering, like, I'm not an addict right now, but as a recovering person, right? I think that the worst thing that the ego mind does is it makes you feel shame, and that shame holds you back from the recovery that could make your life so awesome. And I always think about all those years I hid so much. And so if you're struggling with anything, there's so much help for you out there. And the one thing I have learned, even being with so my career has really started to bring people in it. And I worked a solo gig for a really long time. And I realized, like, working with open-minded mystics, it's made my life so much better, so much more joyful. I love working with Donna and Tracy. And what I've learned from it that I want to share is that we are going through this globally together. And if you can get support in what you're doing, let's move to the new earth. Let's vibrate at a higher place. We're supposed to meet those out there. We're supposed to not be violent and solve things in ways that we're supposed to play big, because that's where fun is. And I think that that's what she's constantly saying. Life gets so much better when you let go of the past, let go of those people that you've signed up to have that assignment with anyway, right?
Listen, you can bounce a ball all you want, but if you go and join like a pickup volleyball game, it's a lot more exciting.
It really is.
Join an emotional volleyball game with us every week at Monday. I mean, I still have to do our card reading.
Oh my gosh.
But next week you're not going to want to miss, because we are going to actually be discussing next. I'm going to let a little bit of the cat out of the bag, not a lot of the cat out of the bag. But just if you are looking to get down with more of, your open-minded mystics, by next week, you're going to learn how you could join part of the volleyball game.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say, right? Yes. The vibrational volleyball game. All right. And we're not going to do shirts and skins. It's all about the souls. All right. I don't care what your soul wears. My soul looks, it's souls and spirits. My soul looks good naked, okay, kids?
So funny. I'm like, I can't even do like Reiki. I have one hand.
Well, you could do like one-handed Reiki. She's doing like, it's not a gang sign, you guys, okay? She's injured. I want to say I love this. Thank you so much, Kathy. She said amazing discussion, very thought-provoking. We are about to read a card. We're going to even read it for our friend in absence. Now,
oh yeah, we should.
We should totally do that for her. Do you think we should do that first? We missed Tracy. Yeah. All right, we're going to read for Tracy tonight. If your energy has been missing Tracy, which ours has, I'm going to really think about this. I think I know. She's going to probably say, like, no whammies, big bucks. And she's going to say, stop right there. Here we go. And I love this. Jerry says, shame no more. That's right. Shame no more. This first card is for you, Tracy. If you're watching out there, I know you're tied up, but here we go. Here we go. Music. Ooh, listen to some music. Yeah. I think that's a great card for you. Yeah. And trust in that music. Maybe I love when you put music on and you get a message, you get in the car, and you ever like talk to your angels, and then you're like, I just need a sign, angels, and you put the radio on, and then all of a sudden a song comes on, and just hope it's not 1877 colors. I hate that song so much. But
so funny. Whenever the song "The Boxer" comes on, do you know that song? Like,
yes,
it's an old song.
Simon and Garfunkel. That's a great song. It's not that old.
I take a picture of it and send it to my whole family, because that tells me like to think about my family. Like,
I love that. I love that. Mm-hmm. Like I love that so much. Oh, I just dropped a whole bunch.
What did I get?
Oh my god! You know what's really funny? Okay, so it's your left shoulder.
Yeah.
I just dropped a whole bunch. First was support. Okay, this is for Kim. Wait, I'm not even kidding you. This is insane. Whoop, there goes my light. There goes. It's fine.
I love Mercury retrograde.
This is hilarious. I just did a knee slapper and yanked my earbud out of my ear. Okay, are you ready for this? I'm not even kidding. Okay, so the first one was support, healing.
Oh my god.
Are you ready? Sign, intention. You got some music. Okay, so we just talked about the boxer. Wait, hold on. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to fall down my steps. God forbid.
Don't die, please.
No, I'm not.
This is a living show. We only live on this
show.
We'll
have a medium monsoon and abundance. There you go. So those are yours. I'm going to say that those are yours. They just fell out. Unless you want me to stop.
No, I know that when they fall, that I don't even go anymore. That's what I get.
Oh my gosh, my mic is turned around. I'm like a mess right now. How that hurt
my
ear.
Donna. It's all you, all the time.
Here we go. Okay, let's see. I have so many things I'm grateful for, honestly. And
Aw.
I really am. I'm so grateful. I got my new car. I manifested that in the
I
color
know,
green.
gorgeous.
Love my car.
So
All right.
cute.
So it is so cute. All right. Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
Here we go. Nature. I need
Nature.
to get out in nature. I was way too much in the house today. And underneath, balance, because I need to balance my nature, and my indoors. You guys, this has been an incredible show. I'm really grateful so much for everyone that watched and everyone that commented politely. For those that didn't, I blocked you and deleted your comment. Every once in a while, the vibration has to attract some wackadoodles.
Okay.
They think it's us, but we know it's them. No judgment here on Open-Minded Mystics. And I just want to say thank you so much, Kim. I'm so grateful that you were here. Tracy, we can't wait to see you next week. We can't wait to see all of you next week because we have a huge announcement. What do you want to say, Kim?
I'm just so excited, and it's so nice to be back, and should be on the mend, and we wish Tracy just great good luck tonight, and everybody out there who's going through something, remember you're not alone.
That's right.
And I love you, Donna, and I love the show, and thank you everybody who was listening tonight and watching.
I totally love all of you, and I just want to say thank you so much, and we will see you next week. I feel like we should give it a kiss off like that. Yeah. And thank you, Dolores Cannon, if you're listening, because I know you are.